in that world full of blocks and wonders. A sudden idea struck me. I decided to let all villagers experience 24 hours of creative mode. This seemingly simple idea was like a huge rock thrown into a calm lake, stirring up unexpected ripples layer by layer. I carefully placed the command blocks. My fingers flew across the keyboard, entering that mysterious code, then gently pulled the lever to activate the command. Suddenly, a loud noise came. The ground shook violently. The explosion's flames shot up into the sky. I smiled wryly and scratched my head. It seems there was a small error in the code. There is no way to turn back time. Start everything over. Try again. This time, there was no terrifying explosion. Everything went smoothly. Success. Now all the villagers have entered creative mode. I didn't have time to fully savor this joy when I noticed some villagers had already quickly grasped the rules of this new mode. One villager couldn't wait to start building his emerald villa. Glistening emerald blocks were flying through his hands. Soon a luxurious villa began taking shape. I flew eastward, and within just 100 meters saw an amusing scene. Two creepers were happily playing with a villager. I couldn't help but remind, "Don't you know you already have creative mode?" The villager was stunned for a moment, then tried waving his arms, and actually started flying. He excitedly spun around in the air, then casually threw out a TNT. With a boom, two creepers were instantly blown to smithereens. After resolving this little incident, I looked toward the village again. Just 1 minute apart. I can hardly believe my eyes. The once ordinary village now stands with towering buildings. Various architecturally distinct structures have sprung up. The creativity of these villagers is simply beyond imagination. Previously, they were constrained by limited resources. Now it has all burst forth in creative mode. I stroll along the streets and discovered a shopping supermarket. This supermarket looks ordinary, but the rules inside are baffling. The box was fully loaded with 2,000 kilograms of gold bars. Yet the cashier not only didn't accept payment, but also kept giving various resources to the villagers for free. I couldn't help but marvel. Is this the joy of having unlimited resources? As I walked along, I encountered a villager who was holding a fish and shouting loudly to sell it. It actually requires 2 stacks of emeralds. I asked in surprise, "Is this fish made of gold? Why not just rob people?" The villager rolled his eyes at me. "If you can't afford it, don't look." I shook my head helplessly and moved on. Not far away, I heard another villager shouting about needing a stack of diamond blocks to trade for a diamond sword with level 1000 enchantment. I couldn't help but complain. Then the villager immediately started arguing, threw a TNT directly and sent me flying into the sky. Luckily I was also in creative mode, so I didn't take any damage. These villagers may not be capable, but they sure have quite the temper. Hamtheach, since you are also arrogant, I've decided to give you a little trouble. A slight smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. Summon Godzilla using commands. Go Godzilla. Show them who's the boss. As Godzilla's massive figure emerged in the city, he let out a thunderous roar. Giant fireballs shot out from his mouth, instantly blasting a huge hole through a building. The villagers were awakened by this sudden attack. They grabbed their weapons to fight back. Their rocket launchers continuously fired rockets, but these rockets hitting Godzilla were like tickling him. Godzilla simply paid them no mind. Continue the frenzied attack. Just when I thought the villagers were at a loss, I found 2 villagers anxiously brewing potions on the rooftop of the building. They focused intently as the potion bubbled in the cauldron. Soon one villager rushed down with the potion. He splashed the potion onto Godzilla. Something miraculous happened. Godzilla instantly shrank to 1/100th of its size. The once majestic giant beast now looked like a pitiful little spider. The villagers lifted him effortlessly, turned and walked towards a cage, locked Godzilla inside. Across from the cage were an enderman and a zombie. Next to them was a skeleton. It seems nothing can threaten the villagers now. I am a bit curious. Why would villagers with unlimited resources still build a mine? So I decided to go down and investigate. Just entered the mine. I was stunned by the scene before me. I saw the villagers turning the zombies who once oppressed them into laborers. The zombies were working with dejected expressions. Since zombies don't need sleep, the villagers even made them work 25 hours a day. Looking at the pitiful state of the zombies, I couldn't bear to watch any longer. So I went up to the mine entrance. Several villagers were constructing a giant diamond golem. The diamond golem came to life immediately after its creation. He walked with heavy steps toward the zombie on the ground. He swung a giant hammer weighing 200 tons. With a loud crash, the hammer smashed the zombie into the ground. The power was truly astonishing. Return to the city. I saw a villager holding a bucket jump off the rooftop. I was startled. Just as I rushed over to stop him, I discovered he skillfully performed a water landing maneuver in midair. The surrounding villagers cheered. I couldn't help but sigh. They are just so boring. In the outskirts, some villagers began building an end portal. They skillfully placed the ender eyes. Then they jumped in one after another. I followed to see what they were going to do. I saw 5 villagers engaged in a fierce battle with the ender dragon in the sky. Though it was called a battle, it was more like a one-sided crushing. The villagers completely ignored the ender crystal. Under their attacks, the ender dragon lasted only a minute before collapsing. We returned to the city. As luck would have it, the army of pillagers also arrived here. I secretly rejoiced in my heart. There was more excitement to watch. The pillagers menacingly lit the cannons. With a loud boom, the cannonball hit a room directly. I didn't expect someone to be in the room, and they were using the toilet. Other villagers gathered to watch. If it were me, I'd probably be so embarrassed I could dig a 3-bedroom apartment out of the ground. The villagers completely ignored the raiders. They dispersed without even glancing at them. Only one villager stepped forward. He actually knows more about command blocks than I do, and it has only been 10 hours. He mastered the command block with complete understanding. He gently pulled the lever. The raiders instantly vanished from their spots. Meanwhile, a new structure appeared 200 meters east of the city. I quickly flew over to check. It turned out the vanished raiders had all been teleported here. This was a parkour challenge arena. A chest filled with loot was placed at the finish line. The first raider bravely set off, but after just a few steps, he accidentally fell into the lava pool. The second raider learned from the lesson, went a bit further. Just as he reached the middle, a villager secretly made a small move. He also couldn't avoid falling into the lava pool. The other raiders hesitated upon seeing this. After gathering to discuss, they decided to set off together, to prevent any more mischief from the villagers. I have to say, they are truly a bunch of brave guys, knowing full well the numerous difficulties, yet they resolutely press forward for their tribe and family, relying on unity and firm belief. In the end, 6 raiders successfully reached the finish line, but they didn't expect There was still one more challenge ahead. This challenge was like an arena. Their opponent was a mutant zombie. I thought to myself that it was impossible to win. The villagers released the mutant zombie from its shackles. A raider shouted and charged forward. The outcome was as expected. He was sent flying by a single slap from the mutant zombie. The others saw this. They knew very well how formidable the mutant zombie was. They had no choice but to flee, but 2 raiders were still caught. And then they were launched into space, vanished without a trace in an instant, just when everyone thought the raiders were about to fail. One raider crafted a block of TNT using a workbench, then threw it at the mutant zombie. With a loud explosion, the mutant zombie was blown to pieces. The raiders won the first round. They excitedly ran around the arena cheering. Their next opponent turned out to be Big Brain. The raiders were completely bewildered. I was also very surprised. Could it be that Decoming has been hiding his true abilities all along? Then Decoming began to perform a ritual. The raiders naturally wouldn't give him a chance. They immediately charged forward, but they were still a step too late. Decoming successfully created an earth golem. As soon as it appeared, the earth golem aggressively charged toward the raiders. The raiders looked at each other, not daring to advance recklessly. The earth golem's attacks kept missing. Soon he was overwhelmed and defeated single-handedly. Surprisingly, the earth golem flung its owner Decoming away. It seems he knew he couldn't defeat the pillagers. He resorted to this only to protect his master. This scene was actually quite touching. Best 2 out of 3 games. The pillagers ultimately won the match and could leave with the prizes. Amidst the cheers and applause, 2 villagers were madly scattering coins from above. But surprisingly, a TNT block was mixed in among them. The marauders left laughing, but failed to notice the approaching danger. It seems the villagers really hold strong grudges. Those who offend them never come to a good end. The city is constantly changing. The surrounding originally undeveloped natural areas are gradually taking on new sites. Returning to the city again, I found they actually built a roller coaster around the city. I can't resist wanting to experience it. Ordered a small minecart, sat down in it immediately. The roller coaster started quickly, speeding along the track. When rushing to the steepest slope, suddenly I fell down with the cart. It turned out the roller coaster wasn't completed yet. Another group of villagers gathered in the suburbs. One of them wore an oxygen mask, climbed into the space shuttle. As the rocket ignited, amid the cheers of the villagers, the space shuttle slowly rose. 50 meters north of the suburbs stands a red house. Upon closer inspection, it was actually built with TNT. I couldn't help but shout, "Don't you know this is dangerous?" But the villagers shook their heads frantically, and simply didn't want to deal with me. Forget it. Those who don't listen to me will suffer sooner or later. There is a residence on the opposite bank of the stream. A villager is leisurely cultivating wheat. I walked over and talked with him. Only then did I learn that he dislikes the hustle and bustle of city life, and prefers this kind of carefree pastoral life. Suddenly, a TNT flew across the sky, instantly destroying the farmland and the villager. I was startled. I looked up, so it was the house of that guy across the shore who built with TNT that exploded. This is truly a misfortune. Time flies by quickly. 24 hours passed in a blink. It is time to turn off the villager's creative mode. I just placed the command block. Suddenly, I heard some noise behind me. I turned around to look. All the villagers were glaring at me fiercely. Their eyes were filled with warning. With the slightest movement I make, I'd probably turn to ashes in an instant. These 24 hours have truly been an adventure full of surprises and unexpected events. Who would have thought that simply by enabling creative mode, the villagers could create so many stories, making this world so incredibly lively?